Author Aaron McHugh lets us know that pickleball is life. This is the focus group.
They're all business, except when they're not. It's the Focus Group with Tim Bennett and John Nash.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the focus group. Tim Bennett here, as always, with my good friend and co-host, Mr. John T. Nash. We are the focus group. Find us here every Wednesday at 1 p.m. East, streaming on our Facebook feed as well as our YouTube feed as well. And then you'll find our audio version on Saturdays, but you can go to focusgroupradio.com and find all of our media housed there as well that you can time shift at any time. And we want to thank our friends at Deep Discount who bring us to you each week as well. You'll find their logo when you're at focusgroupradio.com as well. There's some great sales going on, so click on them and start shopping away. John and I will tell you a little bit about what we found there this week as we're doing some holiday shopping. As I mentioned in the tease, we have a special guest joining us today who was able to stop by and visit with us. Aaron McHugh, many of you may remember who are fans of the show. She's probably one of the people who's been on our show the most. We were trying to figure out if she's certainly in the top three.
Oh, totally in the top three. Yep.
Yeah, author Aaron McHugh, she has a new book out called Pickleball is Life. And it's all about the sport of pickleball. And she stopped by to talk to us about it. And if you are going to be shopping for holiday gifts, it's she said it's a gift. Did she call it a gift size book? I think you would either
it's giftable. It's like one of those things you find right near the register, point of sale.
Right. You would I think you had coined that term, giftable or gift size book or something.
It's giftable.
And what did she say? For $20 you can get change back. Not too many things you get change back with a $20
these
bill.
Days, yeah.
So it's all a tongue in cheek or in the history of pickleball, which I've wanted to play, but I can't with my knee. But it's really taken over. Although the game's been around since the '60s,
yeah,
it really has. It really has since the pandemic, I think, taken the world by storm because it's easy to learn. A lot of people can play. There's lots of ages, young to old, that are playing it, and so you'll have to get out there and will you try it, John?
Oh, sure. I'm dying to try it, especially after looking at the book. And by the way, Erin's book is full of lots of pictures and stuff like that. But she's coming on a little bit later, so we'll let her tell you all about pickleball. Hey, have you did you catch this article that appeared a while ago probably about a week ago, about a woman who hit a golf ball into the Grand Canyon?
No.
Oh, apparently it happens all the time, but So the headline was, a TikTok star hit a golf ball into the Grand Canyon. Here's how much that stunt cost her. So naturally, in the age of social media, this woman named Katie Sigmund, she hit a golf ball into the Grand Canyon. I guess the hit was so strong, or I don't know what happened but the club went with it as well. So the driver's shaft flew into the canyon after the ball. Well, she posted it to social media, and naturally, the National Park Association, because it's a federal land, got involved, and she had to pay fines, and they eventually dismissed the case after she paid them. But I just don't know why people think of doing these things. It's a
Was she at one of those famous overlooks or something and decided she was going to hit a golf ball in there?
Let's see. It didn't really say. It really just jumped into the fact that since it was posted, law enforcement was able to track her down pretty quickly, and it is a federal violation to do that. The fine could be up to $5,000 max and 6 months in prison, but she got off with a $285 fine, which included a $60 processing fee.
I wonder what is it a littering thing, or what's the concern?
Yes, correct. The three charges were for tossing items into the Grand Canyon, littering, and creating hazardous conditions with disorderly conduct. She was only cited for disorderly conduct in tossing or throwing items into the canyon, which carry a maximum fine of $5,000. But I come back to this. I read this, and it wasn't worthy of caught my eye, in my opinion. But I wonder about people's judgment. I mean, we've heard the stories about people falling backwards, taking the ultimate selfie, or they'll go off a cliff, or
Right.
they'll get injured. And would it ever cross your mind if you're visiting the Grand Canyon to say, hey, I think I'm going to hit a golf ball into the Grand Canyon?
Well, she must have got the idea from somewhere. But I guess my concern would be if somebody was down there. Now the chances of you hitting them would be tough. But I
no,
went on.
Tim,
I
you're
went-
right.
I went on a 5-day rafting trip in the Grand Canyon.
Yes, you
And
loved it. Well,
when we were leaving, I had taken a little stone from the river. 'Cause on our last day, we'd gone to this falls finally to get cleaned up, and the group of us were talking, and I thought, well, you're not going to. We were in the Grand Canyon. You're down there, and somebody had found a little arrowhead or whatever. So I just took this little stone and put it in my pocket, and the other kid took something, and a group of us. And the guide is watching this all go on. And then before we get into the raft to leave, and we're going to go into the lake to get finally picked up by this powerboat and then be taken away to the canyon, he said to all of us, okay, empty all your pockets out and put everything back that you had picked up. And I mean, here's a tiny little pebble. And I said, what are you talking about? He goes, well, you're not allowed to take anything out of the canyon. And I said, well, why? He goes, well, what if everybody did that? I'm looking around. Well, first of all, it'd be like, it's like the moon. I mean, what do you mean, what if everybody did that?
you mean there's rocks everywhere?
Well, I mean, it's thousands. Like, it feels like it's 10 miles down, right? You're in this canyon. But he said that what if everybody took something out, everyone that came to visit?
Took a souvenir. Yeah.
I said, well, that's probably how I got to be a canyon. But
No, if you were paying attention to your guide, you know otherwise. But I see your point.
but yeah, you weren't allowed to take anything. Yeah, so he, I guess that's the rules.
It's the
So
rules.
if you go to
yeah.
I guess if you go to one of those parks, you're not supposed to take anything.
Nope. Nope.
So
Although, Tim, we went to Craters of the Moon National Park, which
did
is
we
all
take anything? I don't think
which
so.
is a sea of lava.
No.
I don't believe so. No. Didn't.
I guess we could have taken a piece of lava, right?
No one would have known that, right? I mean, it was a field of lava.
Well, nobody would have known it's tiny pebble, John. out of the riverbed.
Now, by the way, this article, this little mention about the golf ball and the golf club going to the canyon was supposed to be one of those, how are you, don't do that. And you come back with, well, I tried to take a pebble out of the Grand Canyon. So I don't know.
Yeah. No. So I don't. Well, I was. You're one. I'm wondering about that though. That craters on the. What was it
Craters
called?
of the Moon.
Craters of the Moon. And I don't.
I don't remember that we took anything from there. Like it never. I remember we walked around, took a lot of pictures. In fact, it was a lot of great pictures we took there.
Did we take anything on that trip? Because we were in a lot of national parks.
No, I mean we
didn't take
bought
any,
things.
We didn't take anything from
Yosemite. No,
Rushmore, or you didn't
Nope.
take anything from the Close Encounters place.
which was Devil's Tower.
Nothing.
No, well, I mean we bought stuff and we took pictures, but we were also on a very tight schedule, as you recall.
I wonder if there were signs. Were there signs that say you're not allowed to take anything?
I don't remember a single sign. I do remember plenty of signs saying the necessity to stay on the trails, especially with Craters of the
Right.
Moon, because that lava is really sharp in some areas. But no, I don't remember any. I don't remember any signage saying, "Hey, don't do this or don't do that."
Yeah.
I mean, or at least for taking things.
Huh. That's interesting. Okay, I'm gonna have to go back and check that. I'm surprised we wouldn't have taken a piece of lava. But maybe it'd been hard to take. That I'm glad we went there, but I don't know. Would you go back?
Craters of the Moon. I would go back to. Was it? Did we go to Yosemite
Yeah.
or was it Yellowstone? Where's
Where's Wyoming? Wyoming and Montana.
It was one of the. I think it's Yellowstone. It's one of the first national parks, right?
Yeah.
That I would
We're
go
Old
back
Faithful.
to.
Old Faithful.
Was
Well,
there,
That
and I would
was
go-
a bust.
Well, you and I had more fun watching everybody waiting for the geyser to start, but
Well, those Japanese
I would go
tourists.
back because there are areas of the park we didn't see, and there's some really beautiful vistas. But for what time we had, we did a good job, I thought.
The surprise of that trip was that Beartooth Pass.
Oh,
And we let the only person that could not drive it. The worst
he did
driver drive it.
He did a good job, but
Right,
you and I
but-
were petrified.
Right. You and I, the two best drivers, are petrified, and we let the worst driver drive it.
Drive, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that was not a road I would go on again.
Well, no, you wouldn't go on it again. Although, as I said before, like having done it, Would we never? I think it was a lot of fun to do it.
I guess now that I know what it is, I'd be more attuned to understand it. We were also in a hurry. We wanted to get through because we wanted to get down before dark, and we were trying to get to Bozeman and dun dun dun. So that was
Well,
also an issue.
also, I don't think we realized we were on the Beartooth Pass.
No, we had
until
no idea where we
on it.
were. Yeah, we
You
no
had
idea.
shown me pictures of it before we left, and you said this would be a fun road to be on. But it turned out that, yeah.
Yeah, we
Okay.
had no idea where we were that day.
Yeah.
Anyway, so what caught your eye this week, Mr. Nash?
What caught your eye? Here's what Tim and John found.
All right, mine is a visual one. It is very short, but I think you'll get a kick out of it when you see this. And it deals with our old partner Volkswagen, specifically in Europe. Now, VW parks things like VW.com or Volkswagen.com, but the individual countries and dealerships have their own social media, so they sometimes have to park their own handle. I'm not sure why anybody didn't pick up on this one. It's a visual thing, but it's Volkswagen Italia, all in one word. Unfortunately, if you look at it quickly, the only thing you see is the word genitalia. Which is, so a user noticed this on Reddit and thought it was a very unfortunate thing because when you put, I'm sure they didn't even think about it, Volkswagen Italia, put it together, and from the G forward, you get genitalia.
Volkswagen genitalia. I like
Having
that.
a genital reference on the name of a popular automaker's social media account is not ideal for the image of the brand. The marketing guys in VW Italia could avoid the confusion by following the example of their German comrades who opted for the @Volkswagen_DE for Germany. Is free of anyone. That's free of any unwanted references, or the French one, which is VW_France. However, to Italy's defense, options including an underscore like VW Italia @Volkswagen_Italia and VW_Italia were already taken. If you're wondering who got the best names, well, Volkswagen obviously is by the corporation, and @VW is taken by the Americans. So @Volkswagen is the German or the European side, @VW is the American. But that's my whole thing. It was really just one of those simple little social media things gone awry. And do you see it on this? If you're watching on YouTube, I have a screen up of their social media page, which I'm sure they're seeing it as Volkswagen Italia. But now that I've seen it, I see Volkswagen genitalia. Do you see it, Tim?
Yeah, well, had they spelled wagon correctly with an O, it would have been a problem. But
Yeah. Well, no. Volkswagen, WAGEN, right?
no, but I'm saying had they spelled wagon correctly,
Oh,
WAGON.
As in not the brand name, but
Boom, boom. Yeah, we would always say Americans would spell wagon WGON.
yeah, it's
So
true.
just tell
It's
them.
very true.
Volkswagen, not Volkswagen wagon. So, well, when I worked at SaladWorks, they had SaladWorks Cares, which came out SaladWorks Scares. But that came from the brilliant marketing mind from the woman who also did My Box.
Is fresh. My box is clean. My box will make you money.
Don't forget My Box is white.
Yeah, and you're looking around the room like, does anybody else
My box is clean. My box,
My box
is
is fresh.
My box is white. And my box will make you money.
And you're looking around looking for.
I actually thought it was one of those ridiculous,
Candid camera.
the Ashton Kutcher thing. Yeah, like you got to
yeah.
be kidding me. And the woman next to me goes, "Oh, we're way past that. We're way past it. This was the owner's wife's idea." Oh, okay. My box. So, mine is short too. Mine comes from us from Lake Elmo, Minnesota. And the headline is Long Overdue Book Return to the Library After 47 Years. So you remember these Chilton's foreign
I
car
do.
repair manuals? When I worked at Walden Books, these were a big thing. People would, it was so funny.
remember
People would
these.
come and buy them on Thursday and Friday and return them on Monday.
Monday, yeah.
So I didn't know you could just go to the library and get them, but people would come buy them and then return them. So then they started wrapping them in shrink wrap, so then it'd be harder to return. So this book was checked out 47 years ago, and someone had returned the book with a little note in it, and the note said that the guy, he was living in the Lake Elmo area in the 1970s. He was working on an old Mercedes-Benz, had a diesel engine, and he had taken the book out, and the book just was at his house. He never got around to returning it, and he moved, and the book got packed up, and all of the hubbub of moving And wherever he moved to, off went the book. And so he had explained that as he was downsizing now, 47 years later, he came across the book and realized that he had never returned it back to the library in Lake Elmo, Minnesota. So he sends this note back and he said, "My apologies to anyone in Lake Elmo who was working on an old Benz." He said, "I can't afford the overdue charges, but I've decided to send you enough money to purchase another book." So along with the book, he sent a check for $200.
Wow, that's a lot. Certainly more than the book, right?
Right. And he said, "I apologize." And, so the woman said that the librarian said that this is the prize. She said the note. So she kept the book in the note. And she said, "Of course we can use the $200. Books are expensive." And she said, "Of course the library always needs money." She said, "We're going to keep the note." She said, "The book is a little too rough for us to put back on the shelf."
Yeah.
She said, "But they're going to keep the whole thing as a, because she thought it was pretty cool in the fact that somebody respected the library enough to return it. But she was thankful that the book made it back home. But she thought the note was cool that somebody did that and donated the money.
I think it would make a good display, don't you?
Right. And she says that they no longer do fines anymore. And she said so many people take things out electronically. She says that they just don't do fines anymore.
Yeah.
So, but so Lake.
That was a good one. So we had Volkswagen and genitalia. We had a returned library book.
Now, so what's funny about that, right, is you and I don't ever know what the other one's doing. And here we both did a car thing.
A car?
Car related.
That's true.
Right. So, hey, so many of you know that Deep Discount is a friend of ours here on the Focus Group. And you get there by going to focusgroupradio.com, click on the Deep Discount logo. Right now, they've got last minute gift ideas for you. There's hundreds and thousands of titles on sale right now. There's movies, music, games, collectibles, and more. And, of course, there's always new releases each week. But Mr. Nash, did something strike your fancy this week?
I've got two things that I
Two
want to
things.
share. Yeah, because I couldn't make up my mind. And the first one comes to us. I never knew this existed. Do you know Catherine Tate?
Yes.
She used to do all those characters. And she had a character called Nan who would basically say all these horrific, not political, not PC things to her nephew. Did you know that there was a movie called The Nan Movie?
No.
It's Catherine Tate.
That's funny.
So here, the plot seems pretty thin but simple, which is a comedy, right? Catherine Tate's iconic character Nan hits the big screen as she goes on a wild road trip from London to Ireland with her grandson Jamie, that's who she always talks to make amends with her estranged sister Nell. The movie has reviews from 2 stars to 5 stars. I love Nan. I hate Nan. But either way, I thought, I've never seen this. I doubt this is going to pop up on a streamer anytime soon. This is the perfect thing to get. And, at $21.79 DVD, this could be a stocking stuffer if you have a friend who is a fan of British comedy and knows Catherine Tate. My other one, because they recently did a series on Amazon Prime, is the complete collection of the Kids in the Hall show. Now, do you remember Kids in the Hall?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Bob and I still to this day love the episode where Chicken Lady goes to a Chippendales club and lays an egg and blows up. And oh, my God. And the Kids in the Hall was so fun to watch back in the day and still is so fun to watch. And even their new show picked up on a lot of this. So those are my 2 picks, the Nan movie and the complete collection of the Kids in the Hall. And that price for the Kids in the Hall is amazing. It's 12 discs for $23.21. Wow. I think it's makes a great gift.
Wow. I was poking around the sale, and I came across something that I've never seen before and did not know it existed. And many know that I'm a fan, as you are, of the B-52s. And there's a DVD of a concert they did in Germany. It's just called Live Germany, 1983. And
83.
Right, and it's the B-52s. It's a DVD of a concert, so it's a live concert they did. And this is when Ricky, one of the original members, was still alive before he died of AIDS. This is before their commercial success where they did Love Shack and all the songs that a lot of people knew, like Rome and stuff. So this is 40 years ago now.
Jeez.
Fred is playing a toy Mickey Mouse piano. They brought in horns, and it was right around the time they were releasing the Mesopotamia and the Party Out of Bounds. Right after Party Out of Bounds, that Party Mix album and then the Mesopotamia
Yep.
album, which David Byrne helped him with. It's the best, I think, live version of Planet Claire. They played things like Queen of Las Vegas, which you don't hear them do live. Big Bird, which is another song you don't hear. And I actually went and I started poking around, and they had a clip on it that I was able to see. And there was it's such high camp, but also bust out loud laughing. You know, the way they're running around, of course, 40 years ago, right? The running around, dancing and singing is hilarious. And
So they were in their late 20s, early 30s back
right.
then.
And there's one point where Cindy, they got the bouffants on. Cindy and Kate are running around the stage, dancing to.
I'm surprised those wigs didn't come off, right?
Yeah, well, they were to Rock Lobster. You know, with the there goes a Noah, and they're running around the stage. Fred's chasing them. I mean, it's hilarious, and you just bust out laughing, and they're obviously having a good time. But I thought this was a great thing. If anyone's a B-52s fan, only for the history of it. But they announced they're stopped touring, so they're on their final leg of the tour. But they did say, in typical band fashion, I don't know if you heard this, just released last week, they're doing a residency in Las Vegas.
By the way, Tim, we looked into tickets for their Vegas show. Whoa.
I don't know what they're going to charge. So they're doing the Venetian. They're going to do X amount of residency. I don't think it's going to be like Cher, where she's there. You know, she was there for a year. They won't be there that long, but they're going to do these residencies at certain places. So the first one's going to be at the Venetian. We should check and see how much it's going to be.
I have to agree with you on this one. I would go out and see them specifically because it's them, and this is a really great find.
Yeah. So that was
your pick. Live Germany, 1983, the B-52s. And the new release this week is a movie I really do want to see. I did not see it in the theaters, but it got great reviews. It's called Amsterdam. It's written and directed by acclaimed filmmaker David O. Russell, and it's an original crime epic about three close friends who find themselves at the center of one of the most shocking secret plots in American history. Based on facts that meet fiction. Okay, so there's a little blend there. The film stars Christian Bale, Margot Robbie, who I love, John David Washington, great actor, Rami Malek, and Robert De Niro. So it's a great cast. You might have seen the ads for this when it was out. It looks really stylish and cool. Definitely on my list. And again, this is $24.99 on Blu-ray from Deep Discount. This would make a great gift for a cinephile as well. So recapping for all of you folks here, we have a last-minute gift sale going on at Deep Discount. Everything's on sale. I went with two different comedies. One I've never even knew existed, but it's based on a Catherine Tate character called Nan. It's called the Nan Movie. And then I also picked Kids in the Hall, the complete collection. Tim did a deep dive and went back in time and got this amazing pick of the B-52s performing in 1983 in Germany. This would be when they're like at the height, right?
Yeah.
Well, it totally
full of energy. Yeah, full of energy.
Running around doing their stuff. This would be another great movie for a stocking stuffer. And the new release this week is Amsterdam, which is a movie I think, again, great reviews, great cast, great director, lots of fun to see. So you're going to get to Focus Group Radio by going to our site. Sorry, go to focusgroupradio.com, get to Deep Discount by clicking on the Deep Discount logo, and start your shopping away. We're going to take a really quick break. When we come back, we have our business birthday, and then we have an extended conversation with Aaron McHugh, who has a new book out about pickleball. It's actually called Pickleball is Life. So we'll be right back after this break.
You're listening to The Focus Group with Tim and John. Learn more at focusgroupradio.com. Now back to The Focus Group with Tim and John. Available pretty much everywhere.
Hey, welcome back to the Focus Group. Tim Bennett here, as always, with my good friend and co-host, Mr. John T. Nash. We are the Focus Group, and later on, as John mentioned, Right before the break, we've got author Erin McHugh joining us to talk to us about her latest book, her 31st book, I think it is, Pickleball is Life. And of course, we have our business birthday. And without further ado, Mr. Nash.
Everyone does celebrity birthday greetings, but the Focus Group is the only show in the universe that celebrates business birthdays.
I just realized, John, it's December 7th, which is Pearl Harbor Day. So it's, I guess, apropos we have a Japanese person for our business birthday today.
Of course, it's celebrated differently across the international date line, right?
Yeah, as they used to tell me, it was December 8th for them.
Yeah.
So Shintaro Tsuji, born December 7th, 1927. He's 95 today.
Wow.
And he's a Japanese entrepreneur, formerly, it's funny, his bio says he's formerly a civil servant, but he was founder and president of Sanrio, which is a merchandise company known for many characters, including Hello Kitty. So they developed the character Hello Kitty, which, of course, is known globally.
And it's not just Hello Kitty. There's Batsmaru. Like there's a whole
Bunch
menagerie,
of
right?
Yep.
Yeah.
And there's a special name for, which we'll get into. There's a special name for this group of what they call them kawaii, cute character products in Japan. But so Shintaro was born in the Yamanashi prefecture. He was from a very, very wealthy family. He lived a life of luxury, but he was very secluded. His mom died of leukemia, and then he was taken to an abusive aunt to go live with her, which was not a very good childhood for him. And but he learned engineering, and he it was right after post World War II, so there was a shortage of everything in the country. So he learned how to do a lot of entrepreneurial business, so to speak, on the black market, and they said that's what helped him start his own company.
Seriously, really?
Yeah, well, so, you had to make do, right? So they said he learned, though he was well educated and knew the ways of manufacturing and so forth, because of after the war and the shortages of things, he was able to figure out more an entrepreneurial sort of work. So in 1960, he finally founded the Yamanashi Silk Center, which was a textile company, which eventually became Sanrio. And he expanded his enterprise from silk to rubber sandals. He realized if he painted these little, he had these cheap rubber sandals, but if he painted little cute flowers on them, they sold like crazy.
It's crazy, right?
So he decided, so he went into this, went and focused on these products and licensed of products, which were very popular in Japanese pop culture, called kawaii, which is a cute segment. So you see lots of those cutesy pastel character things. They said his best known character is Hello Kitty, which was a little cartoon girl cat. And it was one of the most successful marketing brands in the world. Besides selling the character goods, they also did parts of film production and publishing. They owned the rights to a character called Mr. Men. Also, they had the rights for Peanuts, the Peanuts characters in Japan. And he noticed the success by just taking some existing cartoon characters and putting them on other products. So he did that with Snoopy, for instance. He would take a lot of these American characters and put them on Japanese products and license them, and made a ton of money. He also did animatronics, the moving characters. Yep. And so he also, talk about doing everything, he also owned the franchising rights for KFC. He had the KFC, Kentucky Fried Chicken, in Japan. He also added to the lineup some other sort of feline cats. He said that the interesting thing about Hello Kitty had no mouth. And I never realized that until I looked at it and realized it had no mouth.
It's weird, isn't it?
So they got sued by a Dutch company that said that Hello Kitty looked like a rabbit that was from Holland called Miffy. So there was a lawsuit, went on and on and on. The Dutch took them to some international court. They ended up agreeing to disagree, and the settlement ended up being that they both, the Dutch company and Sanrio, gave money to earthquake victims. There was a donation was made, and they both kind of went their separate ways. He ended up
both went their separate ways. Okay, we'll take.
Yeah, they agreed that that's not Miffy, that's not Hello Kitty. We're going to agree that they kind of look the same, but they're not.
Okay.
So they ended up, but they also own two theme parks. One of them's called Puro Land, and one of them's called Harmony Land. I guess similar to kind of a Disney thing. He retired from the company in 2020. He thought of killing himself, but he decided not to. He went and got a polypectomy instead. Said he thought of suicide, but I guess he went out and got some polyps taken out of his belly instead, and gave the company to his grandson. So that's it. Happy birthday, Shintaro. He's 95 years old.
95. God, well, he's still kicking, right?
Yeah. So, but yeah, it was funny because there were a bunch of other This was a popular birthday day, December 7th, but we've never done the Hello Kitty, the guy who developed Hello Kitty in the company.
Sanrio.
So, yeah.
It's an empire.
Yeah. So that's our business
Empire.
birthday today. So, as promised, we have a fun guest joining us who used to be a very frequent guest of ours when we used to be in our studio in New York. Erin McHugh. She's a former publishing industry executive and an author of many books.
And Tim, by the way, I want to apologize for my graphic design sense here.
Why?
Because this is a small fraction of Erin's books, because actually there's about 31 titles. I don't, 2, 4, 6, I think I got here 10 of her. I've read all these, but she's a true working author. What do we always say? Her job title is author.
Author. Well, she'll actually tell us. It maybe even be more than that. I think maybe she's got 40 books. I looked at this collage, and I think there's even more books than what's here. But
there is, yeah.
There's a couple of favorites, and she has a new book out, which is perfect for the holiday season, called Pickleball is Life. And the book was just released last month, so it's the perfect time for her to come on and join us. We haven't had a guest on in quite a while, so we're happy to welcome author all the way from South Dartmouth, Massachusetts, Ms. Erin McHugh. How are you, sweetie?
I am so happy to be here with you guys and from the audience that I don't know, but feel like I know. Thanks for having me.
Erin, you were, I was just looking at some pictures, one of our favorite pictures. You were our first guest when we left Sirius and began doing video and podcasting.
That's right.
And it could have been the book, the Tea Party book. Was that? Because that was 2016?
Possibly. Or maybe the political suicide book.
Oh, yeah.
Or one good, no, it wasn't One Good Deed. It wasn't that one.
Second chances.
Before that. But yeah, I'm like a groupie. I follow you guys anywhere.
You also were our first guest host. John had taken a cycling vacation to France, and I had needed, I could not do the show by myself, and I think John could, but I could not. So I had asked you and Mary Seaton Corboy from Greensboro to join me in studio, and so you and Mary were my co-hosts that day when John was in France.
That's a long time ago.
That was a long time ago. So we did you were our first guest host, but the listeners remember you, and of course we love having you on, and excited about pickleball. You know, I'm jealous because pickleball seems to have taken over the world, and with my knee and my eyes and everything else, I can barely walk, let alone play any sport. But I was curious about how the whole pickleball thing started with you, and before we get into catch up with some other stuff, maybe just let's do the business piece first and learn about your latest book.
Okay. Well, I moved from New York and back to my hometown of South Dartmouth, Massachusetts. And I had recently, when I turned 60, I was turning 65, and I was running up subway stairs or running across the street to catch a light. And I had gained too much weight, and I felt like a little huffy and puffy. And I thought, all right, this is it. I got to go do something. So I went to Weight Watchers. God knows why I didn't go when I was 38 and so much cuter. But I went and bing, bang, boom, I lost 30 pounds in 15 weeks.
Wow.
And I kept it off. In fact, I think I lost at least another dozen pounds. So then I moved home, and I thought, the next step would be to start exercising again. But I sort of couldn't get my mind around it. And I used to play a lot of tennis when I was a kid. And a teenager, but then stopped when I came to New York because I was in publishing. So I made zero money. At the end of the week, I'd have maybe $7. So the choice would be, can I find 3 other people to play indoor tennis with me? Or I could take the $7 and go to a disco. And you know what won for the next 42 years? So I had done nothing but like sitting down for 42 years. So somebody introduced me to pickleball, and I thought, oh, this is fun. So we started playing, and we started looking for courts, and there's a court in back of me now because it was a tennis court that wasn't being used much. owned by the Quaker ladies next door. And so I got permission from them to put up a court, and off we went. And it is, I think, as my subtitle says, as a lot of people will tell you, is pretty obsessive.
Wow.
Aaron, what is so is pickleball like a I wanted to like come new to this. It's I've observed it. It seems to be wiffle ball on a tennis court.
It's a little like that. The court's about a quarter of the size, John. So it's very manageable. And I think this is why you find that it started getting a foothold, say in the early 2000s, in a lot of the retirement communities, and all the places in Florida, Palm Springs, California. Now it and partially due to COVID, because people with their families who were their pod inside their homes found they could all go out together and do this one thing, which was great for them, and they could get outside and also to get some exercise and hang out together. So that now the average age of a pickleballer is no longer your grandfather's; it's 38 and falling fast. So, yeah.
So
So
would you say it's tennis meets ping pong?
yes, and some would say also badminton.
And
But
bad okay, I get it. Okay.
manageable because it's about a quarter the size of a tennis court. And you're right, it's an oversized ping pong paddle, so it's light, and a wiffle ball, so also light. So the hitting of it is much less tough on your body. So if you've got a bad shoulder, Tim, bad knees, bad hips, you're going to be able to, and you usually play doubles. The whole thing is a lot more forgiving.
Right.
So you don't
If
have to move like Tim and I once saw Martina Navratilova play doubles out in Indian Wells years ago, and I had never seen a tennis match, and I sat courtside,
Mhm.
and all I could think of was, oh my God, what an athlete! Because the back and forth, the back, and then boom, the noise the ball made. So this is different because the court's smaller.
Right.
The ball doesn't move as fast. It's lighter. The rackets are lighter. So this is all just about being able to move and have fun.
Well, I would say that the ball can move a lot faster than tennis, as a matter of fact.
Okay.
Um, and there are people that who we call bangers who just want to play, and a lot of times they're men, and they want to play bang, 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 tough tennis, show off. And then there's something called dinking, which is when you just get the ball just over the net into this little spot called the kitchen. So if you watch a YouTube video of professionals playing, it's a lot of dinking, and then when a good an opportunity comes up, then the banging starts to start.
so it's it, it so it's listed as the fastest growing sport in America. So what's the origin of the game? Is it new? Is it how long's it been around or so?
1965. A lot of people know this. It started on a tiny island, Bainbridge Island, outside of Washington, outside of Seattle, and by a family, well, three dads whose kids, one of the kids were complaining that there's nothing to do, the usual, right? And so they invented this game that day, and they used some old ping pong tape paddles and stripped off the rubber. And there was, in fact, an old wiffle ball set lying around that it was unused. Took that ball and just started making up some rules. So it was these three dads, and they went home at the end of the summer, and one moved to New York, and so they brought it to New York, and he was a sort of an international businessman, although his daughter told me recently, spy. Um, they'd go to Singapore and Jakarta and all over the place, and they would bring pickleball with them wherever they liked, wherever they moved. And also, one of the other dads eventually became lieutenant governor. I believe first was a congressman in the state of Washington. So when he would go out on the road to, do, political, trying to gather up the votes, I think when he saw the audience getting distracted, he'd say, "Let's go play some pickleball." And he always had a set in his trunk. So that
I think he was the guy who had the relationship to where I went to college in Marietta, right?
that's
So-
right. He was
Okay.
Pritchard. Yeah.
Right. Okay. Well, that's so. Is this? It's funny you said. So, is it played now internationally, or is it just an American thing?
It is. It's international, and it's gaining a big foothold in lots and lots of countries. The next question a lot of people ask, and maybe you two wouldn't ask, but people who are so interested in pickleball as well, when will I see it on the Olympics? But there are funny Olympic rules. I'm sure many of which we'll never, know the truth about. But the first is, in order to even be considered, you have to be actively played. Now, I don't know what that means, but it's got to have some sort of, again, foothold in the country, in 75 countries around the world for men and 55 for women.
Wow.
So, and it's gaining on that. It's certainly in the 60s and 50s for 40s and 50s for women and into the 60s for men. So, it'll be not so far in the future, I think.
Aaron, I can't believe that there's 75 countries that are doing the skeleton racing, and
Yeah. Good
get to
point.
look-
Good point. Yeah.
Right. I love it
Right.
when the countries come, but then they got to come out with the flag ceremony and a helper, right?
So,
keep
Aaron,
playing,
you
come on, there's so many fun places to play in New York. Oh my God.
yeah, well, I know we have a lot of space for it. Well, some good spaces for it. You mentioned some strange terms that I don't think anybody would ever recognize from even the world of tennis. Like some people still don't know what love is, like that whole thing after, the match keeps going. What is one of the oddest rules that people have to learn about the game?
There are a couple, there are so many of them, really. A few are, you have to say the score before you serve.
You
because
have to.
it's confusing. And
Okay.
doing the score is confusing. So it's a good way to, try to get your memory to work. Um, and so you've got to do that, or technically you lose a point. But really, what it all turns out into is somebody yells, "You didn't say the score." Well, the score is 3-2-1. No, it's not. It's 4-2-1. So there's a lot of that. Um, there are there's a rule, for example, that if you serve cross court like tennis, but and then so that person is standing at the baseline and the other person is standing near the net, right? If I serve and on purpose hit the guy at the net, which is not the intended place the ball should go, it's my point.
Oh.
Oh, that's pretty good.
Yeah, that's a weird one.
Yeah, it's a weird one. It was made up by a guy whose last name was Nelson, and I think not a very well liked guy, and they call it the Nasty Nelson.
I have friends down here in Rehoboth Beach that have picked it up. Mark and Carl, John,
okay.
now have become obsessed with it, and it's funny. So your book, Pickleball for Life, that just launched. Are there other books out there like about pickleball? How is yours different?
There are a couple, and there's now Pickleball for Dummies. Mine is different because it's a gift book, as you can see from the cover. See the martini glass? That's a Cornichon martini. I've got a second, so it's half source book, like
and it's a good size. See,
yep,
it's a good size gift book here.
4x7, and it's beautifully illustrated throughout. And guess what? It's only $18. Well, how can you get change back from your 20 for four color book? I don't even know.
You should have been in advertising. Get change back from your 20.
Right. So it's I wanted it to be sort of half source book and half humor. My editor said to me, "Do you remember the Preppy Handbook?" And I thought, "Wow, you're right. We'll make it like that. It could be full of, it's got a Venn diagram, it's got lists, it's got stories, it's got funny things, it's got recipes. So it's got something for everybody, and it's just, and it's a ton of fun. Now, you might wonder how often I play. Every day.
Wow.
I'd prefer it if I can play twice a day.
Really?
Yeah.
How long does how is it called a match? How long do you play for?
Usually, you play a game. The game goes to 11. It can last 3 minutes or 20 minutes. So usually play an hour and a half. I play usually an hour and a half. Occasionally, I'll play 3 times a day, but then the visiting nurse has to come and pry me off the couch so I can make a little pasta.
Is there a pickleball outfit?
No, well, you see in the book, there's a bunch of different. I had a bunch of different ways and sort of nicknames for the different ways that people dress and play. There are people who are sort of like the nouveau Slav kind of people, and there are people who dress like pros. Even the pros don't dress that pro. So it's sort of all over the place. It's pretty schlubby, but But as always, there are people who buy all the equipment, try to
Right.
put the greatest and the slimmest, blackest clothes. I should talk the ninja look. I've got on black right now, black fleece lined leggings and a fleece turtleneck. So I'll be going out later this morning. I think it's 38.
But I'm pleased to see you're still in your New York uniform.
I'm still all black.
Right, going to New York wearing black. When I worked at Subaru, that was always the running joke. Every time we were in Philadelphia, so every time we'd have a meeting in New York, everyone would say, "What are you wearing?" Going to New York wearing black. And
Yep.
Tim would wear down in Philly it's paisleys and
if you wore a color
prints.
or plaid like I am now,
Plaid,
you were at
yeah.
Right.
looked like you came off the moon.
So in
What-
Rehoboth Beach, Tim, does the color palette change in the winter or in the summer?
Yes. Yeah. I mean, it's like The Shining down here now. I mean, there's not much going on. I think myself and the woman across the street who travels more than anybody I know at 84 years old, we're the only ones on this street right now. But everyone else has gone to
Tim has
Florida
great
or
gardens.
wherever.
Tim's
Yeah.
gone great. It's another winter in a summer town.
Yeah. So it's a little crazy. What so these tournaments, do you go to any of the will you go? Do you think you're a good player?
I think I'm a good player. I'm
Okay.
not a good player. There is a a rating system that goes up to 5.0 at the top.
Right.
5.0, 4.0, 4.5. You're very, very good. I am on my best day. I'm a 3.5. But the thing about pickleball is, pickleball is life. Of course, is the title. The thing about pickleball is it's very kind. So I'm going out later this morning to play with a bunch of people who are mostly in their 80s, and a friend of mine,
Wow.
78 and way better than I am, has wanted them to teach all her friends to play. One guy's 92, a retired doctor, and they've gotten really good over the last year. But again, then I've been teaching kids in girls in an elementary school, so I'm teaching 5th and 6th graders. So it's really, really all over the map.
Wow.
So it's kind, and so you try to play up and play down. Do you know what I mean? Everybody wants to play up in any
Right.
kind of sport, because you play with somebody who's better than you are, and they're going to help you out and give you some tips if they're nice and better your game. But you also, when you play pickleball, I find like you become a little bit of a missionary. You want everybody to feel the joy you're feeling.
Proselytizing about the game, eh?
Or you want everyone to come in and see how much fun it is, because there's loads of laughing, which is why it got us through pickleball. And I've been thinking about it a lot. And although pickleball is life for me, now pickleball is my job. Which how can always sit here? What a
Well,
thing! I get
speak-
paid to write the book about pickleball. Yippee!
Speaking of job, Aaron, when John did this graphic of all your books,
Yeah.
how many? Do you know how many you have?
Oh,
written?
she knows how many.
John
Yeah.
was right. It's 30.
How many?
31.
31. This might be an unfair question, but of all the books you've written, is there one that surprised you, either in its success or people's reaction? Like, is there one that was just a surprise for whatever reason, whether good, bad, or indifferent? Is there one that stands out?
A couple. I would say, like my mother always said, which I think you guys are included in, is stories and sayings that mother said to their kids,
Right.
and people loved it. And I sold a ton of them. I loved One Good Deed.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's one of my favorites.
If you don't know the book, it was in diary. It's out of print now. It's in diary form, and I try to do a good deed every day for a year, small. And I realized as I went along, because I kept a blog alongside of it, that people liked the small ones too big, and they felt like you were asking too much and you were intruding into their day, and it got to be too much for them. So one of the great things about One Good Deed is occasionally I would hear from somebody and they would say, "We're reading One Good Deed for our book club, and the next month we're going to do a good deed every day, and when we meet, we will talk not only about the book, but about the good deeds we did and how it made us feel." And that made me feel like about $1 million.
Wow.
Yeah, one good deed is a book that I pull off the shelf fairly frequently, and you could page to any part of the book, And I'll sometimes duplicate a story that I've read, but it's always a great way to. You could either start your day that way, or after a crappy day, pick up one good deed, and you'll suddenly be like, okay, things aren't so bad.
Thank you, John. Thanks for saying that, because and you're not alone in saying that. It makes me feel great. I really loved it. But the pickleball book is certainly the most fun I've ever had writing a book, because because I'm so obsessed with pickleball, and because it's so much fun for me. Every bit of it, and the researching and the rules, which I had to like pick apart, because sometimes they are hard to understand. Um, it was a lot of fun, and as I was going to say, I've been thinking about pickleball's life is the name of the book, but I was thinking, well, why isn't life more like pickleball? Because pickleball is kind, it's inclusive, it's easy. You can always get better. It doesn't cost anything.
It's social.
Reasons
Yeah.
why isn't life more like this?
So, people who follow you on social media, and we're talking to author Aaron McHugh, I'm always fascinated by you. There's an ice cream shop, I guess, in your town. And you're always first in line. Is it in April? You're the first one to get the ice cream cone every year?
March. The one down the road from me, I was always the first person there too. And they have closed up. But yes, this place I've been going to has been open. It looks sort of like it's from the Jetsons. It's an old fashioned
Very cool
place. Yeah. And it's been around since I think 1946 now. In about 1956, my dad started taking me and my cousin Mimi on Friday nights. So it's gotten to be, it's a great memory. And I have this theory about, I might have talked about this in One Good Deed. I have this theory about what I call going for ice cream.
Right.
It is always happy. And when you go for ice cream, it's not that time. It's all the times that you went for ice cream. All the memory, it becomes a memory bank of all of what it means to go for ice cream, and who you went with, and your family, and being a little kid, and the beach, and the winter if need be, or
Right.
whenever. I like to go. Who doesn't? I like to be places where everybody is happy, and that's one of the things about pickleball. Everybody's always happy.
pickleball and ice cream,
is one of
soft
those
serve, or
That and your Coney dog.
It's all
Well, it's-
made, and you're right. And I went on the last day or two, of course.
Well, it's funny you said that, because I think John and I both do. One of the things we learned in One Good Deed was to, whenever you see a lemonade stand for little kids, is to stop and buy.
Yeah.
And ever since you've done that, I've told everybody, friends down here, because all the little kids down here in Rehoboth have lemonade stands, and we'll stop, and it's the stickiest little cup, Dixie cup.
Really, it's cool.
Right.
So, picking up on what Tim said,
Yeah.
Aaron, I was on a 50-mile bike ride upstate during the summer, and I was way up above, like almost near Albany. And I was down to like half a bottle of my second water bottle, and I go by a lemonade stand with a kid holding up a huge cardboard sign that says lemonade. The road's empty. So I stop and I hand the empty water bottle to the kid. I said, fill her up. And the mom and dad are there, and he fills it up, and the mother's like, it's homemade, and it was delicious. And I always carry like singles and a 5 for this exact thing. So I think I gave the young kid a 10.
I hope so. You ordered a quadruple.
Yeah, and so the father goes, do you want change? I said, no, not at all. I said, you just filled this, and this is a really great thing. And the little boy looks at it, he goes, is this big? He looks at the bill, right? And the dad goes, that's a big one. That's a big one. You have to save that.
So for college.
So I rode away. I was like
Great,
2 miles down the road, and I had some of the lemonade, and I was like, oh my God, I should go back and get her recipe. It was delicious. But yeah, it makes their day, right?
Oh, absolutely. And yours.
Right.
We all know it's the dirty little secret of volunteerism that you always feel, end up feeling better than anybody once you.
Than the people you're helping. Yeah. All right, well, we got to wrap it up, folks. We are talking to author Aaron McHugh, and I'm going to put her graphic up here. The book is called Pickleball is Life, The Complete Guide to Feeding Your Obsession, and pickleball has become a national obsession. This book is what we call giftable size. It is filled with wonderful illustrations. It shows you all about the game, tells you the rules. If you're new to this, in fact, this would be a complimentary gift. If you're giving someone a pickleball set, you need Pickleball is Life. See, there you
Christmas,
go, Aaron.
right.
Yeah.
You do.
And I want to just go back quickly and show you that a sliver of Erin's books. She has written wonderful books. Some of our favorites we discussed earlier in the interview, like One Good Deed, like my mom always said. There's also Like My Father Always Said. Another one that I loved is called Second Chances. I remember when we interviewed you and talked about that. So, Erin, we want to thank you for coming on the show again. Let me show people again. It's Pickleball is Life, the complete guide to feeding your obsession.
At bookstores everywhere. And online.
There you go, Mr. Bennett. Good show. We're going to wrap things up. We want to thank our partner, Deep Discount. You go to Deep Discount. You get there by going to focusgroupradio.com. Click on the Deep Discount logo and start your shopping experience. We like getting credit for that, and they love our listeners. All your Christmas and holiday needs are there. And as we always say, and we want you to pay attention to this. Let me put it up. Don't text and drive, folks. Arrive alive. Tim and I have seen a lot of bad driving on the road lately, and it's always someone with a phone on the steering wheel. I just don't get it. It's not that important. You're driving a car. Okay, so stay healthy, stay safe, and we'll see you in the new week.
It's The Focus Group with Tim Bennett and John Nash. Accessible on all platforms. Subscribe, like, and rate us on your platform of choice. Learn more at focusgroupradio.com.
That was a stunning focus group.